Hey, my name is Donna Spivey, and I am presenting Module 8, Legal Aspects of Teacher Evaluations. All right, for EDL 851. All right, so I wanted to just start by doing a summary of the 3 articles that we read. And so the summary of the NEA article really stated that Every Student Succeeds Act has ended the federal government's involvement with teacher evaluation. It really just discussed those evaluation processes based on the Every Student Succeeds Act. It also talked about how states are permitted to redesign and submit descriptions of their own accountability systems, and that states are not required to use student scores as a component. It talked about some multiple measures of educator performances, the savings clauses, protect against ESSA interference with existing rights under state and local law and association agreements. And it also talked about some tips on redesigning the evaluation process in your district. The next article was through Education Week, and it really just talked about some different court cases. And because of the shift in teacher evaluation methods over the years, this really has led to an increase in litigation. So different court cases that regarding evaluations and their current statuses. Some of the cases mentioned within the article were from the following states: Florida, Louisiana, Nevada, New Mexico, New York, Tennessee, and Texas. And then the lawsuits ranged from anywhere between growth measures, teacher bonuses, tenure, pay scale, student scores, inconsistencies, student poverty, merit pay, teacher rankings, and then of course just some other ones. The last article was also through Education Week, and it was about teacher evaluations. And just really talked about how measuring teachers fairly and then what to do with those evaluation results after those evaluations and observations had been completed. The use of given feedback and just providing individualized professional development to teachers is huge. Definitely that feedback helps students grow, and that individualized professional development can help just lead them into that direction of what they may need to continue to work on. The evaluation system has changed, and it could be attributed to 4 factors, according to the article. The wave of new research on teacher quality, the philanthropic interest in boosting teacher effectiveness, efforts by advocacy groups and policymakers to revamp state laws on evaluation, and then political pressures to dismiss poorly performing teachers. So I am a teacher within the Lexington School District 1 and in the state of South Carolina. And the purpose of our evaluation process is to establish the basic structure for the evaluation of the professional instructional staff in the district to ensure accountability. The proper personnel will evaluate the performance of every teacher in accord to state law and South Carolina Department of Education expanded ADEPT support and evaluation system. Evaluation system guidelines. So every teacher within the district is evaluated somehow, whether formally or informal. We have 3 different contract teachers within our district. We have induction contract teachers, and those teachers are just those beginning teachers, and so this helps just that successful transition into the profession. The district has a place for the induction program, and it provides the induction contract teachers with special guidance and assistance. So Within their observations, they are given written feedback regarding their strengths and their weaknesses that relate to our state standards. In order for a teacher to be successful within this evaluation in that induction teacher, those induction contract teachers, they must attend meetings. They have to have observations by their team, their teaching team. They have to have a submission of a professional growth plan and a development plan, and then just meeting the district expectations for those performance, for their performance and just conduct. A teacher may not be employed under an induction contract for more than 3 years. So if those success criteria are not met, they could be given another induction contract. Then we also have annual contract teachers. These are a lot of times our, second, third year teachers. So during the first annual contract year, the teacher must complete the formal evaluation process, and we call this our POP cycle. So the P is for pre-conference, then you have the O, which is the actual observation, and then we have the other P, which is the post-conference. And then they could also be provided with a diagnostic assistance. In order to be successful, they have to have a satisfactory in their completion of the formal evaluation process. They have to meet all requirements for a professional South Carolina teaching certificate as specified by the State Board of Education. And they must demonstrate satisfactory teaching performances and professional conduct. Once again, teachers that are under this particular contract may not be under for more than 4 years. And then we have continuing contract teachers. Within the district, you could be evaluated 2 different ways if you're a continuing contract teacher. So you could have a formal evaluation, which once again, that's our POP cycle, or you could just have an informal evaluation, and that's just observations only. So you don't have to go through the pre-conference or post-conference cycle. The administration just comes in and observes. Teachers who are up for their certificate renewal, however, they have to be evaluated using that formal process, and then other teachers would just be evaluated through the informal process. However, if a principal feels the need, they can have a teacher that is not up for certificate renewal. They could be evaluated using a formal process. It's really up to the teacher's principal's discretion as to if that needs to be done. So our state does the Expanded Adept South Carolina Teaching Standard 4.0 system. So within that, we actually have a South Carolina Teaching Standards 4.0 rubric that is used during observation, and it is the observation instrument for classroom-based teachers. It's based on a set of performance standards, and it is established that the expectations of what a classroom-based teacher knows, is able to do, and is able just to carry out as an integral part of their practice. So this rubric is actually broken down into 4 domains. We have instruction, planning, environment, and professionalism. Indicators are within each domain. So under each domain, there are particular indicators that are viewed during our observations. And then then under each indicator, we actually have descriptions for the performance levels. And so the performance levels are exemplary, proficient, needs improvement, and unsatisfactory. So what can a teacher do if they disagree with their evaluation? If you are going through a formal evaluation, no teacher or other certified staff member may grieve the results of his or her formal performance evaluation. Now, if you're an annual or a contract teacher and you feel that you're unsatisfied with your evaluation results, you feel that there's an error there, you can submit a written response citing those errors, and then that is taken to the Director of Employee Quality. However, the decision is final for those annual contract teachers. So whatever the results are, and however the director of that employee quality feels, that's the final decision. Now, if you are a continuing contract teacher and you feel that there is an error, you can still appeal, but it goes a step further, and it actually goes to the Chief Human Resource Officer. And once again, that has to be written, that appeal has to be written, and it needs to state explicitly why the teacher believes that their conclusion was an error, that there was an error somewhere within that evaluation. But the Chief Human Resource Officer does have that final decision. Now, if you're under an informal evaluation and you disagree with your evaluation, once again, no teacher or other certified staff member may grieve the results of his or her informal evaluation, and that also includes the confidence building or the research and development goals-based evaluation. And in that decision, if you're going through your informal evaluation, that decision is based on your building principal. So they have that final say. So the court case that I found interesting, I really wanted to see if I could find one that was related to South Carolina, since that's where I live. But as I was looking around and looking at some different court cases, I found this one about a Houston teacher versus the Houston Independent School District. And it is a Houston teacher, Mr. Dewey, filed a lawsuit against the Houston Independent School District for the use of the educational value-added assessment system, where he believed that there was the teacher effectiveness was unfair and inaccurate, and that the tool was also used to judge the salary of its teachers. Now, Mr. Dewey was a great teacher and had gotten great, feedback on his evaluations, except for 1 year. He just had an off year, which we all have, and it could be related to anything that caused us to have that off year. But he had a pay rate decrease because of this, and he just found it to be unfair. So the overall theme is that they believe that the use of EVAAS and the use of state assessments should not dictate teacher effectiveness and their pay rate. So the reflection part of my presentation is that just as a future building administrator, I feel that it's really important to follow legal issues that are associated with the evaluation process. So I want to make sure that I'm following these issues. So in order for me to do that, I need to make sure I stay on top of federal, state, district, and school educational policies. I need to ask for help from any mentor administrators. I need to make sure I ask for professional development training on our district's evaluation process and legal aspects of the process, as well as our state's. And I also just need to know district board policies so that I can be a better administrator for those teachers. And then always document. Even as a teacher, I know it's so important to document. So as a future building administrator, documentation is going to be key as well. Thank you.